Hi, my name is Justin Render. I'm the Mach Till product specialist here at Kinze Manufacturing. We're going to go over the two smaller lines, the 201 and the 261. We're going to hook them up to a tractor and set up to help you guys in the field. So we're starting off with the hitch and the safety chain. Just like any other agricultural piece of equipment, it's important that you use the qualified hitch pin, and the safety chain. Please keep in mind that our max towing speed is 25 miles an hour, and before you do any hookup, make sure we're following that rule of thumb, about 15 horsepower per foot. Tractor Data is a great resource to find out how many horsepower your tractor has. And then also on our two smaller sizes, it may be beneficial to have this hitch in the lowest position. And it's going to depend on how high your tractor is, but most of the time in that lowest position is going to have the best performance. So we'll hook up the pin. Our safety chain. So going over our hydraulic circuits a little bit, our depth, our wings, the transport and jack. Depth obviously goes up and down, sets your settings. Your wing settings is what folds it around. Your transport's what brings it up, and then our jack obviously is for storage. So we'll go through that setup. Unhook. We'll get the light harness out of the way. Do our depth setting. Wings are number 2 circuit. Transport's number 3. And our jack is the 4th. Make sure to replace that back to its full position. We'll turn the jack handle so we have flow going to it. Also, if your tractor only has 3 remotes, we can use the jack in one of the other ones to get it started. Get the tractor started, obviously put that back up into storage, shut that handle back off, and you can put it back into its holding location. That way you're not worried about dragging it through the field. Then use the other 3 remotes to run your depth, your wings, and your transport. So now that we've gone through the hookup procedure, we're going to go through the unfold sequence and field setup. So now that we're in the cab, we're going to make sure that we're clear of any obstacles. So the first thing to get it out of the cradles would be to roll transport circuit number 3 back slightly to get it out of the cradles, then engage the wings. So now we'll go back to circuit number 3, which is our transport circuit, and roll it backwards till it's fully stroked out. So now that that is done, we can go through our lift circuit. Make sure we're fully raised, phase that for a few seconds. Fully lower. We'll go back to the raised position. So now that we've got that completed, we need to make sure we put the wing, which is number 2, and the transport number 3 into a float position. So that allows contourability in the field. At this point, now we're ready to do depth settings and field adjustments. So now we're going to do some field settings. So both of these turnbuckles on both the right hand side and left hand side set the pitch of the roller, or how much is faced backwards to forward, or that fine center point. They should come from the factory preset, but it's good to know how to change these as needed. They should be 1 7/8 from the base of this turnbuckle, or the base of this weldment to the turnbuckle. And this one is over. So to adjust these, they would have to be fully lowered position. We would loosen the top side here. We'd use our tape measure to set the base of the nut to 1 7/8. And now we will raise the machine to be able to tighten the bottom. So now we'll go through the tightening process. Verify our measurement. So we are at 1 7/8. This wrench can be found on the left-hand side of the machine, right beside the turnbuckle. Continuing on adjustments, we're going to go through our depth setting. So each one of these shims are a 1/2 inch of adjustment. A good rule of thumb, or a good starting point, is about 7 shims. So it's very important to start from the base as well. If you start from the other end, as this cylinder collapses, you'll actually bend this shim stack, which is a new change for this year. It's not possible with the roll pins. So now that we have our depth settings, we will then adjust the gauge wheels. To adjust the gauge wheels, we'll have to lower the machine and then properly set them. So now we've lowered the machine, the blades are touching the ground. This isn't the final step, but it'll get us close. So what we'll do is remove our arm. So now that we've made contact with the ground, it should be a good starting point. Then we'll verify in the field to make sure that our machine is parallel or level. It's not dipped one way or the other by the adjustment of these gauge wheels. So now we're going to talk about the deflector. First thing would be is our depth settings. So a good starting point would be about halfway in between. That wrench that we talked about on the turnbuckle setting can also adjust these two nuts. But the first thing I do is make sure that it's in the second hole setting. Right now it's set to factory. So we'll adjust it out to the second hole setting. That should give us enough space in between from this blade, throwing it out, returning back to the second row. And also another adjustment that can be done on this side as well is this outside disc. Right now it's set to the lowest position. If we're cutting too much of an edge, we can use that same wrench and adjust these, so you can adjust that outside disc for an aggressive cut angle or a non-aggressive cut angle. So the basic auto steer settings for these two machines, the 20-foot machine is 19 feet 2 inches. The 261 is 25 feet 10, so we can load that into the monitor. So now, after we've done that, we've got both of our circuits into float. We'll get her up to speed and run for a little bit. So now we've got her up to 10 miles an hour. We'll drive for a little bit, and then we'll stop it to check our depth settings. So the first thing I do is I check and see where the disc blades are running, front versus back. So our front gang, how deep are they? How deep's our back gang? I look through the whole machine as far as all the blades being level, so how tipped we are, or are we running true? Looks to be all right. We're down at our planter demo ground, so the ground's a little bit rough right at the moment. So then what I'll do is I'll dig underneath to make sure that our wing setting is correct on both sides. And we've got a nice true floor surface. And I can see from this outside one that I need to lower the gauge wheel to allow this wing to come down more. From where we are in the center to where we are on the outside is shallower. So I need to make that adjustment. Also, another key adjustment that I see has not been done correctly is our center ridge remover. We will need to lower it because it's leaving a little bit of a hump in the center on this section as well. So that concludes our infield setup.